This evening, we heard from Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev, who announced on state television that he and the entire Russian government would be stepping down. And he said that they were doing so in order to allow President Putin to make the necessary changes that he had outlined earlier today in his annual address to the Federal Assembly, that's Russia's legislature. And in that speech, he talked about a number of constitutional changes that he wants to implement and he wants to put to the Russian people in a referendum. And some of those changes would include giving more powers to the Russian parliament, to the Russian prime minister, and imposing some restrictions on the next president of Russia, his successor, when this term comes to an end in 2024, because, of course, he needs to step down. Under the Constitution, he cannot run for another presidential term. He's already had 4. He had to take a break in between them to be the prime minister, in between his 2 sets of 2, and now we are approaching the beginning of the end of the presidential term, and so this is why we're starting to get a glimpse of what could happen in Russia's future. Here's some of what President Putin had to say in that speech earlier.
I know that a constitutional provision is being discussed in our society that the same person should not be president for more than 2 consecutive terms. I don't think this is a fundamental issue, but I agree with that.
So President Putin essentially putting the restrictions on any successor that will come after him and really paving the way for him to still maintain his grip on power, but moving that position into a different one, possibly prime minister or the head of Russia's Security Council.
And Julia, among Russians, how popular or unpopular is this decision?
Well, as you'd expect, there's a range of opinions about this. We've heard from the opposition figure Alexei Navalny, who said that this is just President Putin and his cronies trying to maintain their grip on power for life. And so he's very critical of that. But there will be many people who do support President Putin and want to see him continue as the caretaker, as the figurehead of the Russian state going forward.